The casket is small. Too small. That's my first clear thought as they lower Caleb into the ground. My 9-year-old son's final resting place. My hands tremble uncontrollably, no matter how hard I press them against my dress, grip them together, or shove them into my pockets. Tears stream down my face, endless and unchecked. Each whir of the pulley tightening my stomach, my knees threatening to buckle. The worker looks to me for a signal. I'll never be ready. 8 months ago, doctors finally named the monster stealing Caleb's strength a rare blood disorder. He took the news with courage, asking only, will it hurt? He never complained through endless needles, transfusions, and fevers. Even shivering under hospital blankets, he'd smile and whisper, I'm okay, Mom. Don't worry, now I stand alone by his grave. My parents, my sister Victoria, even Melissa, my best friend, are absent. Out of habit, I check my phone. Victoria's Instagram floods my screen. Her engagement party, posted 20 minutes ago, while I listen to the minister's words. My family chose champagne over Caleb. Angela, my elderly neighbor, touches my arm. She's the only one here. She brought meals for months, sat with Caleb so I could rest, never treating his illness as a burden. They didn't come, I whisper. She nods sadly. I remember Caleb's laughter, his dream of becoming a doctor, his superhero pajamas at chemo. Angela reminds me, that boy loved you more than anything. I nod, thinking of the trust fund Ethan set up, $850,000 meant for Caleb's future, now left to meet MY phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Bring the trust documents tomorrow. They didn't come to his funeral, but they want his money? I reply, I'm burying my son today. I can't talk about paperwork. Her response, don't be dramatic. This is important for the whole family. For the first time, grief gives way to clarity. This isn't just ABO. UT money. It's about Caleb's legacy. My family is united against me. I turn off my phone. Caleb is mine to protect. AT the graveside, I place his favorite action figure on the casket. I'll protect what's yours, I promise. As the soil waits, I feel a spark ignite inside me. They will not take my son's legacy without a fight. The next morning, rain falls as I drive to my parents' house. My chest tightens, replaying how they chose Victoria's party over Caleb's farewell. Melissa's car is parked out front. Of course, she's with them. MY father greets me with false concern. Inside, the living room feels like a boardroom. Victoria sits poised. Melissa avoids my gaze, and my mother clings to a family photo. No one mentions Caleb. MY father slides papers toward me. We need to reallocate the trust with Victoria as trustee. Sign here. I stare at him. What are you talking about? Victoria leans forward. Destiny, you're in no condition to manage money. We're trying to help. My mother adds sweetly, you've always been impulsive. Remember the boutique idea after college? Thank goodness your father stopped you. Melissa stays silent, confirming her choice. My father's voice is firm. We've already spoken with Ethan's lawyer. The words hit like blows. My father insists this is the prudent course, sliding legal documents toward me. I recognize language about mental competency evaluations. Another page, trust law research, dated 14 months ago, right when Caleb was first hospitalized. You've been planning this since he got sick. I whisper. Victoria rolls her eyes. You're exaggerating. That's exactly why we're concerned. My father warns that if I refuse to sign, they'll petition for guardianship, claiming grief has clouded my judgment. The betrayal crystallizes. They dismissed Caleb's illness for months, calling me overprotective, while secretly preparing to seize his money. Beneath the papers, I find blueprints, a $200,000 kitchen remodel, a pool, a theater, all for Victoria's new house. Rage steadies my voice. You never visited him once in 8 months. Victoria shrugs. We all grieve differently. Some of us just handle it better. Then the truth slips out. Robert's company is in trouble, the wedding at risk, the Hilton head property failing. Melissa finally admits she needs financial security too. They look less like villains than desperate people willing to sacrifice me. Still, my father's mask drops. If you don't sign, we'll take drastic measures. I almost laugh. Their support over the years amounted to birthday cards and shallow calls. Now, they want Caleb's trust to cover their debts. I gather the papers. I need time to think. My father's voice sharpens, ordering me not to leave. But I walk out, closing the door behind me. Did I end my car? Shaking, I get a text from Angela. How did it go? I'm here if you need to talk. Before I can answer, Ethan's parents call. Their grief is real. Their love genuine. Nothing like what I just witnessed. I remember Ethan's words. If you ever have questions, contact Richard Donovan. Hope stirs. I call his office immediately. Later, seated in his polished law office, I slide the folder across his desk. Richard reviews the documents, then pulls Ethan's original statement of intent. The trust is for Caleb's future, and if the worst happens, for me. Tears blur my vision. Ethan protected us, even from beyond. Richard explains my parents and Victoria had already contacted his office months ago, trying to probe for loopholes. But the trust is ironclad. They have no legal standing. Their only tactic is to claim you're unfit. He warns that I show him my mother's text from Caleb's funeral. He nods. Very helpful. Arrange a meeting on your terms, in public. 2 days later, I sit at a busy cafe with a manila envelope. Angela waits nearby. My family arrives, Victoria leading. She immediately reaches for the envelope. You've signed? She smirks. I hold it back. First, why didn't any of you come to Caleb's funeral? Excuses spill out. I slide screenshots across the table. Victoria's Instagram, champagne raised, posted during the burial. Whispers ripple through the cafe. I pull out Ethan's notarized trust papers, highlighted. Ethan made his intentions clear. This legacy is mine. It cannot be touched. My father lunges for the document. I draw it back. I've spoken with Richard Donovan. He has Ethan's statement of intent. The trust cannot be changed or seized. Victoria's mask cracks. You don't deserve it. You'll waste it. Her voice rises, turning heads in the cafe. The words land like a blow. My mother hisses. Victoria stands abruptly, calling this ridiculous. My father leans forward, voice low and threatening. They'll make things very difficult if I don't sign. I gather the papers. I'm not signing anything. Ever. I walk out with their stares burning my back. Angela waits in the car, window down. When I slide in, she smiles. You stood up to them. My phone rings, Richard. How did it go? Do we need immediate action? I describe the meeting as Angela drives away. Richard's calm. We're strong legally, but they'll try other tactics. After we hang up, Ethan's parents call to offer to fly in and testify about his intentions. Mark, a former coworker who visited Caleb, texts, "Whatever you need, I'm here." For the first time in weeks, my chest loosens. I am not alone at home. I touch Caleb's last school photo on the dash and whisper, "First step done, buddy." Angela squeezes my hand. They'll try something bigger next. We'll be ready. The feeling building inside me is no longer just grief or anger. It is resolve. 3 days later, I'm back in Richard Donovan's office, spreading documents across his mahogany desk. Grief still hums beneath my skin, but a new clarity guides my hands. They'll petition for guardianship, Richard says. Their clearest path is to claim grief has made you unfit. I show him the calendar of every appointment and hospital visit, not a single missed date. Victoria, my parents, Melissa, 0 visits. Not when tests failed, not when doctors said there was nothing more to do. Document everything, Richard instructs. Every interaction since the diagnosis, every missed appointment. We organize bills, medical records, and proof of how I handled Caleb's expenses. He brings in a notary so I can sign affidavits. Each signature feels like armor for Caleb's legacy. I tell him Angela kept a journal of every time she helped, meals, nights sitting with Caleb, the hours I spent by his bedside. Richard nods. A neutral third party's account will help. I've also contacted Caleb's oncologist and teacher. Both will provide character statements. Ethan's parents are ready to corroborate his intent for the trust. Richard recommends security cameras and a psychiatric expert to counter any mental fitness challenge. I admit I've collected screenshots of my family minimizing Caleb's illness. Proof of a pattern. That's the evidence we need, he says. Not just to defend you, but to expose motive. Angela arrives with a stack of notebooks. Her voice is fierce. I documented every day you were at that hospital. Every night you sat up with him. She places the journals on Richard's desk and takes my hands. Her certainty steadies me. We build an evidence board, a timeline of medical records, appointment logs, financial statements, witness statements from hospital staff, neighbors, and teachers, and photographs from Victoria's engagement posted during the funeral. Each item sharpens the narrative. Who stood by Caleb and who did not. Richard points to Ethan's notarized statement of intent. This makes their legal position tenuous. I trace the timeline: 8 months of treatments, nights sleeping. In hospital chairs, every challenge recorded. You shouldn't have to prove you were a good mother, I whisper. He places a supportive hand on my shoulder. People who want what isn't theirs will build a narrative to justify it. We'll counter that before they can. My phone buzzes. Angela found more entries in her journals. We taped the last photo to the board. My parents celebrating at Victoria's engagement. Champagne raised 42 minutes after Caleb's casket was lowered. That image feels like the final piece. Richard surveys the wall. A mapped-out history of absence and planning, medical records, affidavits, and witnesses. They'll file for emergency guardianship, he says, but we've anticipated their arguments. He taps Ethan's notarized statement again. This will be crucial. Standing there, surrounded by evidence and allies, a strange calm settles over me. We are building more than a legal defense. We are building the truth into a monument. If they try to take Caleb's legacy, we'll expose every calculated step they took, and we'll be ready. I read the petition aloud. 23 neighbors signed character statements, small victories, but each one strengthens our case. For a week I've built an arsenal of truth. Security cameras now monitor my home. I've documented every text, voicemail, and social post where Victoria insinuates I'm unstable. They're trying to win the court of public opinion first. Richard's phone rings. His expression hardens. Someone requested Caleb's complete medical records yesterday. My stomach drops. Victoria used an old emergency contact form to gain access. They'll twist everything, I say. They'll find the one time I got emotional with a nurse and use it against me. Richard's voice is steady. This breach shows how far they'll go. On his laptop, messages appear, calls to former colleagues, LinkedIn notes from an old supervisor, V. Victoria asking about my emotional stability at work. They're building a case on every front. Anger finally breaks through my grief. They want to erase everything I did for Caleb, I tell him. Richard closes the laptop. Add a defamation counterclaim. This is no longer only about the trust. They're attacking your reputation. That night we refined strategy. Witnesses lined up, evidence organized, counterclaims prepared. Angela texts that the security system worked perfectly while I was gone. Ethan's parents are flying in with documentation about his intent for the trust. For the first time in weeks, the weight on my chest lightens. I am not alone. Then the sheriff's knock. A thick manila envelope lands in my hands. An emergency petition for guardianship. My throat tightens. They're not only after Caleb's money. They want control of me. Richard had warned this could happen. I scan the affidavits. Melissa's signature. Detailed accounts of times I forgot to eat. Nights I sobbed in hospital hallways. Mornings I couldn't remember if I'd taken medication. They've quoted confidential medical notes. Victoria shouldn't have had access to those records, Richard says, voice hardening. The hospital ethics committee launches an investigation. They also highlight my depleted savings, evidence of financial irresponsibility rather than the truth. 18 months without steady income while trying to save my son. The hearing is tomorrow. We knew this was coming. We're ready, Richard says, but his words don't make the fear evaporate. This petition paints me as a woman falling apart, unfit to manage her life. The local paper beats us to it. A headline screams, "Family seeks help for grieving mother." My parents' faces are staged in the article. My father's quote is weaponized. This breaks our hearts, but we must protect her from herself. Victoria's social post, an old photo of us, a message about stepping in for someone suffering, fills with sympathetic comments. They've already been tried by strangers online. Richard's calm cuts through panic. He's already filed our counterparty.
Ion.
Ethan's parents arrived this morning and provided affidavits about his intentions. The hospital confirmed the unauthorized access. Angela rallies more than 20 neighbors as character witnesses. My former supervisor and Dr. Levine, Caleb's physician, submit statements about my competence. It will be enough, Richard says quietly. He shows me security footage. Victoria and my mother attempting to enter my house while I met with him, testing doorknobs, peering through windows. We file that footage and request a restraining order. We assemble an evidence board, medical records, appointment logs, bank statements, witness affidavits, and photos. One final, damning image of my parents at Victoria's engagement. Champagne raised 42 minutes after Caleb's casket was lowered. That picture feels like the keystone. Night falls uneasy. At 9:48 p.m. the doorbell camera alerts me. Victoria stands on my porch. I consider ignoring her, but I record before opening the door and keep the chain latched. She looks softer than at the cafe, almost concerned. Can I come in? Just to talk, she asks. No, I say. She pivots to threats thinly veiled as offers. Drop your opposition to guardianship. Sign over the trust to me as administrator, and we'll withdraw the petition. No one has to know about your episodes. The word episodes lands like a slap. She lists moments she will use against me. The 3 a.m. call to Melissa, the time the hospital nearly called child services, and then the knife. We'll destroy your reputation. A strange calm settles in me. I tell her to leave. Before she can respond, rage flashes across her face, and then she composes herself into the usual mask. You were always the burden, she spits. Now do something for the family. I close the door without another word and call Richard. I forward the recording. He tells me to breathe, to preserve the evidence. Ella arrives with more journals detailing every night she sat with Caleb, every meal she brought, every time I never left his bedside. Her notebooks, the security footage, the doctor's statements, Ethan's notarized declaration, they stitch together a counter-narrative powerful enough to challenge the lies. Standing amid the papers on my kitchen table, the legal stamps and case numbers glaring up at me, I do not feel safe, but I feel ready. They want to decide my fate, my dignity, my voice. Tomorrow, a judge will see both stories. Tonight, I sleep with cameras recording, witnesses on standby, and a lawyer who believes the truth will hold. I touch Caleb's locket, whisper his name, and know we'll fight. Perfect, he says after listening. Her mask finally slipped, exactly what we needed. Past midnight, Angela arrives with an overnight bag. I thought you could use some company, she says, setting a thermos of tea on my table. Thank you, I whisper, unable to explain how much her presence means. Tomorrow we show them what real strength looks like, she adds, squeezing my hand. A text from Richard flashes on my phone. Everything is ready. Ethan believed in you. So do we. Unable to sleep, I sit in Caleb's room, holding his stuffed dinosaur. The glow-in-the-dark stars still shine on the ceiling. I open my locket to his smiling face. Tomorrow is for you, buddy, for your legacy. For the first time since the sheriff knocked on my door, I feel something beyond fear. I feel ready. The next morning, I enter the courtroom with my head high, flanked by Richard, Angela, and Ethan's parents. The polished wood feels like a temple where truth should matter more than performance. Across the aisle sit Victoria, my parents, and Melissa, faces arranged in practiced concern. My stomach knots. Just 48 hours ago, the sheriff served papers claiming I'm mentally unfit to manage my affairs, or my son's legacy. Richard squeezes my arm as we settle at the defendant's table. All rise for the Honorable Judge Marion Peabody. A stern woman. In her 60s enters, silver hair pulled tight. Reviewing the petition, she warns, these are serious allegations. I expect evidence, not emotion. M.Y. family's attorney rises, his confidence obvious. This is a family trying to help a daughter spiraling after loss. She's shown erratic behavior, isolation, and refusal to accept help. Melissa testifies next, recalling late-night calls when I was hysterical. The truth? I was terrified beside Caleb's hospital bed, abandoned by the very people testifying against me. My mother follows, dabbing staged tears. This isn't about money, it's about protecting our daughter. I see the judge softening, and panic. Then Richard stands. What we're witnessing isn't concern but calculation. These relatives abandoned her during her son's illness and reappeared only when they learned of his trust fund. He presents hospital records proving my devotion. Witnesses follow: Angela, Ethan's father, and even the hospital records administrator, each confirming my care and exposing Victoria's privacy violation. Finally, Richard plays recordings. Victoria threatening to destroy me, my parents plotting how to use Caleb's money once guardianship was approved. The courtroom falls silent. Judge Peabody returns, expression like granite. This petition is dismissed with prejudice. What I see is a coordinated attempt to exploit a grieving mother. An investigation into possible perjury will begin immediately. Furthermore, a restraining order is granted against all petitioners. The trust will be unfrozen. Victoria's composure shatters. My parents sit stunned. The judge looks at me. Ms. Walker, you've shown remarkable strength. Your son would be proud. As bailiffs block my family's approach. Richard leans close. Justice was done today. Angela wipes tears. Caleb would be proud, dear. Ethan's parents embrace me. You've honored our son and grandson today. Outside, reporters swarm. For once, I don't shrink. Mrs. Walker, how do you feel about the court's decision? I straighten my shoulders, stronger than I've felt since Caleb's diagnosis. Justice has finally been done for my son. As cameras flash, I step forward into the future he would have wanted. One where his memory is not just preserved, but honored through strength he helped me find. The trust fund isn't just money. It's his legacy, and I've proven worthy of protecting it. At the advisor's desk, I review the options for sustainable investments. The Pediatric Hematology Fellowship must be fully funded, I insist. That's non-negotiable. He nods, making notes. The restraining order still holds. My family can't come within 1,000 feet. The word family feels like an administrative term now. Stripped of emotion, the local paper ran the headline, Mother Vindicated in Trust Battle. Calls of support pour in. Even Victoria's fiancé ended their engagement after hearing the recordings. My parents face perjury charges. Melissa lost her job, and their power over me is gone. Outside, Angela waits in her old Buick, window cracked against the autumn chill. All set, she asks. All set, I reply, sliding into the seat. I remember all the rides she gave us to and from the hospital, her thermoses of soup, the way she stayed with Caleb so I could rest. I never thought I could do this. I admit as we drive. Stand up to them. Create something lasting. Angela pats my hand. I knew. From the moment you placed that action figure in his grave and made that promise. That night, I sleep peacefully for the first time in years. No nightmares, only dreams of Caleb laughing, whole and strong. The next morning Richard calls. The foundation paperwork is filed. The trust locked down tighter than ever. Neighbors bring meals each evening, small kindnesses that remind me family isn't always BLO. 6 months later, I stand in the Pediatric Blood Disorder Unit, now renamed the Caleb Walker Memorial Wing. A young nurse approaches. I'm Jennifer Abrams, the first Caleb Walker Scholar. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Caleb would have been thrilled. I reply, smiling genuinely for the first time as I speak of him. He wanted to be a doctor himself. Now, through this foundation, his dream lives on. Families receive housing assistance, nurses gain specialized training, and children get the care insurance doesn't cover. Angela organizes volunteers, Richard safeguards the legal side, and Ethan's parents mentor grandparents of sick children. I speak at support groups now, reminding parents, the first step is believing you can do this. The second is knowing you don't have to do it alone. A year after Caleb's funeral, I returned to the cemetery with fresh flowers. His name warms under my fingertips as the morning sun rises. A woman approaches with her daughter, Emma, who shyly thanks me. The specialist funded by her scholarship saved her life. Her mother says, tears in her eyes, that I kneel to Emma's level. You're very welcome. In her face, I glimpse the future Caleb never had. When they leave, I place his favorite action figure against the headstone. I kept my promise, buddy. Your legacy is safe, growing stronger every day. Surrounded not by blood relatives, but by true family, those bound by choice, loyalty, and love, I whisper to him, the family that matters is the one that stand with you when you need them most. As I walk back to my car, sunlight warming my face, I realize betrayal can lead to transformation. I'm no longer just surviving. I'm living a life that honors Caleb's courage and the strength he gave me.